for joining us. I'm Jessie Chahel. We look at the issue of disability, or the people with disabilities in Malaysia. Do they have enough access? Are they fringed from the society? Well, today in the studios, I have a very special guest with me, YB Bathmavathi, who will be sharing with us about the issues that she faces as she tries to do the good work. Now, thank you, Dato, for being here so much. YB, sorry, not Dato. Okay, so let's look at some of the issues that has been, faced by the people with disabilities. From the stats, we see that there are about 2.7 million, at least in the country, but only 500,000 are actually on paper, right? But the rest of them are not really
have not registered, yeah.
Right. So why is this? Is there a lack of awareness? A lack of...
Yeah, this is because registration is voluntary and it's not mandatory. So therefore, those who are not registered may still be out there, but we have to have an active campaign to get people to register, their children or adults or elderly who have become disabled.
So to your experience, what is the mindset of Malaysians towards those with disabilities? We see that a lot of there are a lot of seminars, there are a lot of mashwarats, a lot of meetings, a lot of things are being done to bring it towards the forefront. But are there any actual actions that are being taken?
Well, there is, to answer that question is yes and no. Yes, to a certain extent, but then a lot more needs to be done. And here, awareness at all sectors, not only the government, the general public, families as well. And then, we need to have a master plan whereby everything is moving concurrently and moving in tandem. We have little pockets of good things happening. So we need to connect them. We need to coordinate. Like, for example, teachers are trained to teach disabled children, developmentally disabled children, to teach the blind and the deaf. But when they're posted, they're not posted to the schools where you have these children. So where have we gone wrong? Do we have a master plan? Does someone monitor where these teachers are sent to? And do people take into account how many children are going to go in the next coming year? How many children are ready to go to school? So we need to have this kind of basic statistics.
So we are aware of the issues because, I like the saying that we had discussed earlier. People with disabilities have abilities.
Yes.
And so is it a Malaysian thing that they get sidelined or forgotten? Is it because the numbers are not big enough that we feel that it's not such an important issue? What do you feel being involved in this?
Numbers, yeah. Usually, you see, for planners, numbers, statistics is important, but then again, if we wait for statistics to be collected, then it's going to slow down a lot of things. So as it is now, we can take stock of what is available. I mean, how many disabled people are there, and we start providing for them, and then slowly, as the services are provided, as things improve, more and more will be coming out to make use of these services.
Right.
So, it has to work together.
Well, because this is an issue that affects hundreds of Malaysians, and it doesn't stop there. It's with their families and the extra support groups, their friends, the associations that are all involved. And the problem lies deeper than we think that we know on the surface level. In terms of accessibility, structures, buildings, architecture, where are we in that forefront? Because we see, like we discussed earlier as well, ramps being put in position, infrastructure being made friendly.
Right.
Truly, is it really helping?
Yeah, so when you talk about infrastructure planning, what do you think of? Who is in charge? It goes back to the local council. They are the ones who monitor, they are the ones who receive the plans, they are the ones who are supposed to see whether or not the pavements are accessible, and the inclination or the steepness, the gradient of the ramp, whether it is made to specification. It all falls back on the local authority. And then you have disabled people and associations on and on, they're going on and on, bringing up complaints. But sometimes it falls on deaf ears.
Yes.
And
until something happens.
You may have come across some examples yourself.
Yes. In fact, we have an example right now we'd like to share, taken from the Star, and this is on today's portal, actually news portal. So let's take a look.
This is how a group of disabled individuals from an organization called the Society of Independent Living for the Disabled Selangor crossed the road at the busy Jalan SS2/24 in Petaling Jaya. Travelling with the assistance of their mechanical wheelchairs, these disabled people were apparently having problems securing a safe passage. The cars did stop to make way for them, but at other times, some vehicles would not let them through easily.
I need to go to SS2 mall to buy something, sometimes go to shop and also become house. So it's very near for us, and this road very difficult to cross the road. Somehow the car stopped for me, but the behind gone already. Sometimes the motor cross away from this side, then we're very dangerous. I was met by an accident last few months ago, so it affected me until I was very traumatized. I went to hospital. I don't know what am I feeling also, and I don't know what am I doing. So I hope that the government will make this place safe, that not so much car will be crossed to this road.
We are taking our risk to cross the road. So because as an authority should give some means to provide facility that we can cross the road safely. So that maybe thinking because there's an existing pedestrian bridge there, maybe you can link up a ramp, go up to the bridge.
The disabled community has submitted an appeal to a local councillor to equip a pedestrian bridge in the area with a lift, and they hope the authority will take their request seriously.
YB, since you're an advocate, please tell us your thoughts on this that we just said.
Right, definitely. You saw how dangerous it was? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think there must be enough signage to warn motorists and those on motorbikes to be aware that there are people crossing. So at a traffic light, you must fix a button and also have signages.
Enough signages
And make the place safe for a persons on wheelchairs to cross the street. And I think knowing our motorists, most of them they think once in a while only you see a person on a wheelchair crossing the road. So I think if more awareness, if more people start going out and using public places like that and ramps and sidewalks, there'll be more awareness.
I think, like you rightly said, it's a bit of a chicken and egg. They are not going out because the facilities, the infrastructure is not there, making it difficult for them to shuttle up and down and travel, mostly relying on public transportation or other options. Not just that though, we also see in shopping malls, parking bays are being taken, for those allocated for the disabled, are being taken by the general public. Sometimes I think we have a few pictures there on what you call orang kurang upaya, the parking lot abuse that has been.
That's right. I think it's not a phenomenon specifically for Malaysia. Worldwide, all over the world, such abuse happens, and I think it just boils down to the attitude. People's attitude, I'm just going to park here for a while. So that's 5 minutes, and they don't realize that a disabled person may come. And I think, all of us, who have been driving have experienced this, not once, twice, many times.
Yes, that's right.
And so it's so frustrating.
It is frustrating.
It
makes it difficult because now you have to wait for the person to leave, or you've got to get some kind of help. In fact, you had an incident some time ago now with it being very rainy the past few days. You were trying to get accessibility to the bank.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What happened?
Yeah, you see, although they have a parking lot outside the Maybank in Newtown, it's not covered. So what I had to do a transaction because I was going out station. So I had to call the officer to come out, and in the rain I had to do the transaction. So this is where you have to have covered car parks. In a country like ours, it rains throughout the year.
Yes.
So it's important that you have proper facilities and for banks especially, and also other places where you're going to get your service.
That's right, get services done. Now we also look at you had mentioned earlier in generally in each sector, whether it's education or whether it's accessibility in terms of buildings or transportation, we haven't really seen much improvement, although there is a forward plan for that. I think in the 2015 budget as well, the Prime Minister did announce some incentives. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, okay. The incentives in terms of allowances, although we asked for a raise, you know, the disabled workers allowance from 300 to 500, we only got a 50 ringgit raise. And in the for those, you know, who cannot work, for them to have from 150 to be raised to 300 ringgit. But what I plan to do is next, you see, after the budget is out, usually there is a supplementary supply bill that the government will come up with for additional expenditure. So that's why I'm going to ask for a bit more allocation so that the allowance will be increased. Because, you know, the daily living allowance with 300, you know, there's nothing much you can buy.
That's right.
Go buy,
yeah. In terms of the law as well, I think it is, if not mistaken, the Persons with Disability Act, Section 29, that says that everyone has the right to access employment on an equal basis, especially those persons with or without disabilities. Everyone has that right. And in Section 8 of the Act, it says that all persons are equal under the law and entitled to the full protection of the law. But is this the reality? Is this what happens, especially for those who are challenged with disabilities?
Well, there are certain barriers, you know, both on the side of the disabled person and also the employers. There are employers who are willing to employ, but they say, where are the disabled people? Okay, so we don't have a one-stop center or one portal that gives you all the information about what are the jobs available. Currently, a lot of disabled persons and organizations and individuals who are looking for jobs, they rely a lot on Facebook.
That's right. Or someone who knows someone.
Someone who knows someone. Yes. So it's only a limited area that this information is being shared. So if we have a central portal, then I think, you know, there'll be it'll be better for employers to also advertise the job and also for disabled people to apply.
That's right.
So here the Jabatan Tenaga Kerja, the Labour Department, is doing what it can also to do job matching, and they get applications from disabled persons and they put up, and then the companies, but the matching it has not been very successful so far.
Because we also have read this, that you know, it says that normally when the people with disabilities go in for an interview or you know, to be profiled, a lot of times it's wrongly profiled or they're wrongly put for a specific job and therefore unable to perform in a way that they're expected to, and then a lot of times get left behind or sidelined, or even perhaps you know, have been asked to leave, creating more difficulty, and of course the emotional stress as well is there.
Yeah, true. You see, the UNDP had a project in the year 2011, and they had an employment project in the state of Johor. So the Johor State Authority, you know, tried out this project whereby they employed job coaches. So this job coaching aspect has been introduced over the last few years, and the Ministry of Human Resource has trained people to train others to be job coaches. And here you find that when a disabled person is taken into employment, like Maidin, Kafo, and all that, they do apply, and they also appoint a job coach to be with them for about 3 months until the person is comfortable, and then they leave, and the person will carry on. And you know, I think we can see some of the examples afterwards.
That's right. We have that video actually to showcase the success of that method. But we'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, we have a lot more in store in terms of this discussion. Do stay tuned with us. We'll be right back. Today, YB Senator Puan Bathmavathi Krishnan. Now, thank you, YB, for being with us. Such an honor and privilege to even, you know, discuss a topic like this. A lot of times, I think even we have discussed before the show, a lot of talk about it, but are we walking the walk? And bit by bit, there are programs, there are initiatives to work towards this, but again, it's going to be some time before we really be able to set an example for the world. Let's come back to what we were talking before the break, and that was on the subject of employment for the disabled in terms of the government and private sector. What are the current barriers that exist?
You see, those who, we take at tertiary level, many of them who are in universities, they do not have career guidance. Even at schools, you have career guidance for others, but for disabled students, you don't have career guidance. So they don't know what are the opportunities that are there, what are the areas that they can go into. So career guidance is very important. And there are so many jobs within the government sector that a person can apply for, and also in the private sector. And if you're not interested in working for others, they can even be self-employed. And to be self-employed, there are a lot of skills that they can gather. And there is one company that I know of, it's called Catapult Animation Studios. They have taken a group of 20 deaf persons, and they're going to train them to do animation. And it so happens that they've got a company, a sister company called Decibel Academy, where they train them, and after they've gained their skills, after a year, the other company, Catapult, employs them. So this is a very good example of how skills can be used, for a person to become economically empowered.
That's right.
And here, when I asked the CEO, what are the qualifications, he says passion. And interest. So, and you will see that, there are a lot of this animation has got a very wide scope. You find that a lot of movies now, and even Hollywood, and Bollywood, they're moving into animation.
That's right. And
a lot of work is outsourced. And you'd be surprised that it seems many of the scenes have been made in Malaysia.
So I think what is a summary of that is that yes, passion is important, disabled or non-disabled, and that should be the main concern. That should be the main focus. And it's if one person lacks something, they're always better or gifted in something else. And therefore, for all many jobs, we don't have to be able-bodied. There's so many options. It's just about bringing that to light. And I think also perhaps a CSR thing, or maybe even corporations, private sectors can come out and offer that jobs for
well, on that note, early this month, one millionaire Shriver, a guy by the name of Shriver, who had from the US, he had done a lot of work to help people who are developmentally disabled, and he, together with Bill Gates and a couple of others, are now campaigning for American companies to employ developmentally disabled people. And he says, there's whole human resource source from these people, and they can be employed.
Being neglected at this point in time.
And I was thinking, there are a lot of American companies in Malaysia. So my next step is to write all these companies to let them, to also follow up the campaign here. And they will be setting a good example for our other local companies or other, multinationals who are here.
That's right.
And that will, open up a whole load of opportunities for our disabled.
I wish you all the best on that. Let us know how that goes. But also on that note, I think what is more important is we need to also now shed that mindset, that baggage that everyone is carrying about disability or disabled people, whether in schools or at the office for employment, perhaps even at sports. But for sports, we're doing rather well.
Yes. All because I think the opportunities are given, and I think I must commend the recent success at Incheon.
That's right.
Yeah, I think they've done very well. They came back with 15 gold medals, 20 silver and 27 bronze, and I think it's the best haul of medals for disabled athletes, the best so far.
Came into 7th position with 15 golds, 20 silvers, 27 bronze, and 62 medals in total.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I think all because in the year 2008, MSN, Majlis Sukan Negara, took over the training of disabled athletes. And here, they had a program just like the able-bodied athletes. And to top it up, recently, this year in May, our Minister of for Youth and Sports, Khairi Jamaluddin, made sure that the incentive given to disabled athletes was on par with the able-bodied.
That's right. So
Yes.
what we see here is that all they need is an opportunity and an outlet to be
Exactly.
treated equally.
Right.
And they are just as good as any able-bodied person. The
Correct.
reason I say this is because I personally feel that sometimes we don't put enough focus, or there isn't enough awareness created, and a lot of times, being human or being people who are, perhaps take things for granted, we just put that in a blind spot and forget that there are people who are very, very able,
Right,
who just
true.
need a little bit of assistance.
Opportunity,
Yes,
yes.
opportunity.
That's true.
So in terms of the sports, we did really, really well, and so far, as you mentioned, the best outing for our disabled athletes so far. And so that is one quadrant that we are doing well in.
Yes, correct.
Still need to focus a lot in terms of accessibility, public transportation. I think, for example, even buildings, like you mentioned, banks, services,
Right.
also in schools, education centers,
Right.
and for like even roads and streets, like we saw earlier with our friends who needed help to for infrastructure.
Right.
What is your personal agenda right now when you're in office? What is it that you want to strive for?
Right. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, you see a lot of good things are happening in pockets. So to find a connectivity and to bring them together and to make use of the existing resources to provide more for disabled persons. We only talk about we can't only talk about those who are active, who are able to develop further. There are also a group of disabled persons who need support, who need support services from the family, from the community, as well as the government and the private sector. So we should also look into how we are going to support them lead a life to their fullest capacity
Kind
as
of
well.
bring them out
Bring them out,
and
yes.
let them blossom. But you're saying families are also changing the way they are approaching this issue. Many of them are now taking the disabled out, letting them be exposed, giving them the chance to blend in with
Right,
everyone else,
right.
rather than always hiding it.
Yeah,
or
true.
I don't know why. I mean, it's a cultural thing, or what is it?
Yeah. I think with awareness, and I think we should have more public service announcements. And if like I was sharing with you, I went to a bank one day and I saw a mother who brought her daughter who's developmentally disabled. I could see by her movements, and I thought to myself, well, this is a good sign, and people you don't really feel shy because you have a child who's not like others, and she may have a little bit of movements or idiosyncrasies, but then what is wrong? She also has a life to lead, and I think this by these examples we can create awareness.
That's right. I think creative campaigns, bit by bit, we should not lose heart. There's a lot that can be done if everybody comes together. Different parts of the corporations and government societies blending together.
Yeah, but then again, measurement. Like services, there are services, okay, and then how is there any body? I mean, I don't see a body as in a council or a commission which is charting, okay, this is what has been planned, this is what has been achieved, to tick, and what is yet to be done. We need to have this kind of KPI for services and programs for disabled persons as well. And you have the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. To me, that council has got a lot of power because it derives the power given to it by the Act. But then again, to me, I also mentioned to the Minister at the last meeting, I said that this is what Pemandu is to the government sector. The National Council for Persons with Disabilities is Pemandu for the disabled community in the country.
That's right.
So we need to have measuring a standard whereby we measure progress and achievement,
execution,
yes,
and take feedback
Correct.
in, and then further
Yes.
improve of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's something you will drive.
Yes.
when you're in office. Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a very interesting video to share with you, and still on the topic about persons with disabilities in Malaysia, and are they getting the kind of support that they need, and what is currently being done. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to The Nation. Still with me, Jessie Chahal, and in the studios with me, YB Senator Bathmavathi Krishnan. Thank you, YB, for being with us again, I must say. And I know you're doing a lot while you can, but of course, all the extra support is needed to drive this. Yeah. We have a huge issue here where the problem is perhaps larger or bigger than we think we know, and that is that people with disabilities are common amongst us, and it's not a community that, you know, yes, of course they need special assistance and they have special needs, but it's not a community that's sidelined. It's within us every day. And I think when we get so busy with our lives, we forget about this community that is so talented and can actually help in terms of, you know, for the workforce resource, and they are ultimately people who are disabled but have abilities. I have a video right now that I'd like to share. Let's take a quick look at the young voices of Malaysia, looking at our youth with disabilities and what they have to say.
Always had in my life, I wonder why I feel so less. It feels that no one understands. Everyone be honest and tell me what is wrong. I should thank you, Lord, for giving me opportunity to not to be alone. I could never ask for anything better than this. You fulfill my dreams. I need to have my amazing friend.
That's right, they have abilities just like any of us. And so, in terms of youth, what is being done for this category of people?
Currently, nothing specific is being done, but I would certainly recommend inclusive programs whereby, you know, like in schools, if they have co-curriculum activities, they should, you know, go out and involve themselves with disabled persons, you know, like the deaf, the blind, and, you know, those who are developmentally disabled as well, so that there'll be exposure and there's acceptance, you know, on the part of the disabled persons, and also those who are not aware of the differences.
There's two sides here now of the story. Yes. There are people who perhaps aren't aware, or people who are aware. But then there are also the persons who have the disability, who sometimes may feel unmotivated, perhaps even a little bit bordering, you know,
depression, and feel alienated,
yes, and feel inferior, and also need that nudge and push to, here's an opportunity, go forward. Being a teenager and going through these problems, it's a very crucial and very important time in their life for them to be able to feel, you know, in control.
Yeah, so like I suggested, you know, these inclusive programs and co-curricular activities, sports and games, you know, outings, and all that, you can involve, include
at school level?
At school level as well as tertiary level, you know, and so this will create awareness and acceptance, because these are the people who would one day become leaders for the country. So if they have this exposure at a young age, they will know that, you know, there are different types of people who make up the community, you know, and we don't talk about compassion or empathy anymore. The inclusiveness, and, you know, that differences are there. You know, some differences can be seen and some cannot be seen. And, you know, I think this is the way to go.
I do agree with you. I think once we start to move towards that inclusive track, I think everyone will be more forthcoming. And, you know, we see now the Generation Y, if you have it, they are a lot more forthcoming with their kindness and their sense of social work and wanting to give back to charity and do the good work. And so we also see corporations now doing that. I personally have seen fast food chains like KFC and McDonald's who actually employ those with disabilities.
Even Coffee Bean.
Coffee Bean also has done it. And it's very heartwarming, not just because you know that now they've been given an opportunity, but a chance to be amongst us and to be seen and to be heard.
Right.
In terms of, we'll go back again to this interesting topic of employment. What else has come to light in your eyes of what's being done, or what else can be done? Because the abilities for them, the jobs that they are able for them to do are actually limitless. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not limited.
True. And some of them may need just reasonable accommodation to the workplace. And here it's mentioned in the Act, and a lot of employers are not aware that whatever renovation that they make, whatever assistive devices that they obtain to help the disabled person carry out his or her job is tax exempted.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one information, and the salary that they pay to the disabled worker is double tax exemption, twice the amount of salary paid. The tax deduction is calculated, double tax deduction.
So we've talked about all the issues and some challenges here and there. Top of mind, what needs to be done immediately? Because a lot of talk, we need to start walking. What needs to be done?
Information.
Addressed immediately.
The information doesn't reach. Ever since I was appointed, in November last year, I've had about 20 people asking me for jobs through Facebook and through WhatsApp and through SMS, asking me, is there a job, that. So I channel them to the correct places and to Jabatan Tenaga Kerja and wherever possible. So this is a lot of people don't know where to go for information. So I'm interested, that we come up with a one-stop center, one portal,
like a
portal where they can get all the information related to where they can study, where they can find employment.
So right now there isn't a website or a hotline or anything like that.
No, you have to Google and it's all dispersed.
And if you were to benchmark against other countries, what have other countries done in terms of this initiative, and have they been successful? Would you know of any examples?
I think a lot of like in UK and US, Rehab International, the Rehab started off as a rehab center. Their portals and their websites are quite informative. So we don't have a similar, we have one called MIND, Malaysian Information Network on Disability, but that too has very limited information.
You need something that connects all the different contributors
for Malaysia. Yeah, so that people will know immediately where to go to.
Well, definitely they need someone to voice out and speak for them, and I'm happy to be able to speak to you today to on their behalf to hear some of their issues that are being faced. In terms of encouragement, what can be done? Of course, like for someone like you who's able-bodied and then became disabled, that transition, obviously a very difficult time. What are the factors, or how can we encourage those to come out a little bit more, for those perhaps at home watching today and go, I can't do it, or I don't belong, I don't feel, that's something I can do.
Right. When you want to compare, I became disabled at a time when there was no internet, way back in the year 1975. So what I went through was, because of my quest for life, the zest for life, I knew that I had to carry on. And, on the personal side, I'm thankful that I've had a very supportive family, although I lost my parents 2 years after my accident. But my siblings were very, very helpful and very encouraging, that I should try out everything. When they go on an outing, they take me along. And my personal needs and all that, they were there to lend a helping hand. So step by step, I gained independence. And it is, that moving forward, it is like, the glass half full or half empty. So if you have a positive mind, if you think you can, you will be able to find, information. I had to search, I had to knock on doors to get a job. I had to, look out for how I could modify my car, and I was not afraid to go and ask people, and I even had to write to the minister to ask for, the approval for the modification of my car. So, these were the things I did in the 70s. And now, I think this generation, they are so lucky that information is there at your fingertips.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people are aware.
Encouragement, support.
And here, to make it happen, this is where the government and the private sector, the community should come in, and to make it happen. A lot of people are aware of what is available, overseas, but to make it happen here, it is it just takes the attitude, the positive attitude, and like I said, to make the dots connect.
Yeah. So for someone who is suffering from a disability, any form of disability, what are the few things that they may need? They probably have a checklist, a few things, like for example, you mentioned for the car, so that they are still able to move around and drive, or different types of accessibility. 4 or 5 important things that they would need to do. Where would they go for now, in the absence of the portal? Where would they go now?
You see, whenever we have dialogues with the like Ministry of Transport or Ministry of Health and Ministry of Human Resources, we always want them to have a section to put the information about what is available. Like in a recent dialogue with the Ministry of Transport, we asked them where. I mean, they said that. Only, after so long, I came to know that there are about 20 workshops that have been given the, the permission to modify cars, and not many people know about it. And they say they will put it on their portal, and I'm not sure if it's available yet. So people from Sabah, Sarawak still do not know. They don't have any workshop to take their car to, and most of them, they say they've done illegal. I mean, because they have to move about, they've done it illegally, and they don't know where to go to.
And a lot of times, though, the argument will be, there are not many who are disabled, so you can't expect everybody to make this small changes or modifications here and there for this group of people. For that, what do you have to say? I know it's a very ignorant statement to make, but for on your end, what do you have to say about that kind of mindset? Obviously, we need to move away from that, but the comment of it's only 500,000 people that we know of, and we can't change buildings, and we can't make every floor.
I don't think anybody should say that, because where buildings are concerned, the Uniform Building Bylaws, the amendments were made in 1990, and it has been 24 years. The implementation, the enforcement is not there, and we have to go back to the PBTs, the local authorities. They are the ones, like the example we saw about the roads and all that.
The road,
Yes, they have to take a proactive stand, and not only, wait for people to complain. We see a lot of things happening in PJ, HR Alam, Klang, and Penang. And Penang, there's a very good advocacy group, Disabled Penang, Disabled Access Penang. I think, and I know 2 persons there, Ku Li Huang and Tan Kuan Ao. They give examples, and they also give solutions, and they put it on their Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. And they write it, and they alert. Yes. And they also alert the authorities. Yeah. So these are the things I think every like a disabled person who's able to do it should
help.
Yeah. Help disseminate and help
others to help themselves.
Correct.
I think in return. I think you made a very good point that even the councils perhaps are a little bit of a doubt in what exactly needs to be done or what they can do.
The attitude, I think, the whole council, not all councils have got a disabled person. Currently I think it's only Seberang Perai has, PJ has. These are the only 2. There used to be 4, and there was already a decision made, by the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. It was a cabinet decision that every local authority should have a representation from the disabled community. But the 149 local councils have not done it. Yeah, maybe they are looking for a person who is technically qualified, but then again, it shouldn't, stop them from at least, appointing somebody and then let them form a committee.
That's right. Get the ball rolling first, and then start looking for them.
And in that committee, you can get people from the local community who are persons with disabilities to sit in that committee and to give them the feedback and the
correct. That's you also need that the guidance from them and the advice from them for someone who's been there and going through it, to be able to advise on what are the exact measures that need to be taken. Well, on that note, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be chatting more to YB about the topic, which is persons with disabilities in Malaysia. Hi and welcome back to The Nation. Thanks for joining us. Still on the topic of persons with disabilities in Malaysia. YB, we've also seen of late some few outlets, especially this one restaurant that you go to dine in the dark. But that's to replicate the experience of a blind person in his or her daily life. You had a bit of an experience there as well.
Yes.
So
an eye-opener for me.
an eye-opener lets you go through the same motions that one with with this disability, with blindness, would face. But having said that, what are the other supports that are available for the disabled person, or more than that, perhaps for also their families?
You see, especially for those who are severely disabled, it takes a toll on the family. And usually, more often than not, it's a female member, is either the mother or the sister who cares for this disabled person, be it an elderly or, an adult or a young person, who's disabled. So, you find that we don't have support services who can provide respite care, like what you have overseas, in England, Norway, UK, US and all that, where someone comes in to relieve you, like for a weekend, so that you can take a break,
rest and relax a little bit for the family as well.
Right.
And like you said, for it to be a professional, a caregiver, as a professional.
Right. I think we should think about that. In the UK we have the Carers Act, and here, caregivers. I mean, not specifically a nurse. Carer should have, more than, after the MH370 and MH17 tragedies, we've heard of caregivers, and people who are emotionally, traumatized, and they need counselors. Similarly, lifelong, a person like born with a disability or totally paralyzed, and can you imagine the trauma that the family has to go through? Family members, people have to give up their jobs, and sometimes, families are split.
I think in that challenges it also creates stress, perhaps some anger, whatever else, or if you have, like for example, like you lucky enough to have a strong support unit, then you are able to feed on that and go further. But perhaps many don't have that as well. So this extra caregiver is very much something.
So I think we have to think of this as a profession.
And we also come to the topic of those with very rare disabilities.
Right.
What happens to them?
Yes. I was approached, soon after I was appointed as senator, approached by this Association for Rare Diseases. There are, I think, about 40,000 different types of diseases, 99% of which results in a disability. And these are not the mainstream type of disability, like there's certain kind of syndrome, lack of enzymes, and the cost for keeping a child alive runs to like about R1 million per year. So where do they turn to? So these are the people who are fighting a different kind of battle. It means you cannot find the money to keep the child alive. So what happens? So it was really a very, very difficult situation to handle. So here I think we're going into like genetic like therapy, and also they did mention about Orphan Drug Act, which they tried to bring up to the government about 6 years ago, where the drugs which are not the mainstream drugs, specialized, special type of drug which can help, prolong the life of these people with rare disorders. So we're trying to, they did mention to me, and I think, maybe in the next year, we'll get a team together to find out whether or not we can come up with this Orphan Drugs Act.
But what is currently being done, as you will see in this video coming up, a dated video to feature what UNDP has done, as you mentioned earlier when we first started the interview, in Johor.
Johor,
That's right. Let's take a quick look.
All over the world, disabled persons live on the margins of society. The United Nations estimates that 1 person in 20 has a disability, and about 80% of these live in developing countries.
Persons with disabilities, or we normally use PWDs, they are like any normal human beings, they want to work. They want to go out and enjoy life. They want to have an income of their own, rather than depending on others.
One of the things that we discovered is that the unemployment rate among the people with disabilities is quite high. It is a lot higher than the national average. Therefore, it is important for us to have a strategic approach on how to address this issue. Also, it is important for us to facilitate people with disabilities who have finished their education, who have gone through their vocational training, to be able to get into the employment just like everybody else.
Transitioning towards an inclusive future.
The United Nations has brought in its technical expertise in order to assist the government to develop a model according to international best practices.
The model is comprised of 6 different components that have successfully integrated persons with disabilities into the labor force around the world.
Well, an access audit is a very important thing to do, and employers can easily do an access audit so that the place will be much more safe and usable.
The job coach is critical to the successful implementation of the model and serves as a link between the employer and the employee. The types of jobs that people with disabilities can hold is limitless.
Using this open employment model, advocated by UNDP and with the cooperation of our state government, actually we have successfully placed and give the opportunity to 14 disabled, dynamic and qualified disabled persons.
The Labour Department is very supportive and encourage employer to hire the disabled workers to in their place of employment.
Initially, we weren't sure whether the disabled employees would actually match our current employees, but after looking at their performance, their commitment and also their attitudes, we were very happy that they actually exceeded our expectations.
Pada pemilihan OKU ini masuk bekerja, mereka dalam keadaan segar dan malu. Tapi saya galakkan anggota saya untuk berinteraksi antara mereka, dan kecekapan mereka bekerja sekarang dah okey, dah baik.
Saya harap dia akan dapat hidup seperti normal lah bila dia dapat bercampur gaul macam ni kan. Dan segi sosial apa semua. Sebab sebelum ni dia selalu menghasilkan diri. Sejak dia bekerja di sini, setiap hari saya tengok dia happy lah.
Sekarang dia dah kerja, dah beli sendiri semua apa yang di keperluan dia dah beli sendiri. So apa, saya happy sangat dia, apa yang dia dah dapat semua kerja.
We need a paradigm shift.
It's a beautiful video seeing them having sort of a new lease on life.
Right.
Right? An opportunity.
Yeah, my only wish is that, what took place in Johor is replicated in all other states as well. That's for the government's part. And also to other corporations, unless you give an opportunity, only then you will know what's the potential.
As rightly so mentioned in the video, that they're very passionate about the job, excited, willing to go the extra mile just to prove themselves, and all they need is an opportunity to be able to shine. Well, YB Senator Puan Bathmavathi Krishnan has been our guest for today. Thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it, and do let us know what else what are the pressing issues there are, and hopefully we'll be able to highlight it right here on The Nation. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Stay tuned. Bye.